Guys, welcome back. I think my mic is on. It says it's green or blue. I don't know what color it is. But I am going to do another round of seeds. I think I'm doing them a little too early, but I'm going to get them done because I know they can take a little while to come up, get mature so they can go out. It is going to be snapdragons. So I got my snapdragons, well, the pan that I'm going to put my snapdragons in right here. I'm going to set you up and then we'll get started. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab all the seeds I need, and then we're gonna hop into it. I do wanna show you real quick. Nothing has come up with any of the tomato or pepper plants that I did just the other day. As I said, we are in the birthday week, seed starting, Seed A Palooza. Don't ask where I got the name. Just, you just say something, you're like, hey, that's kind of funny. Anyway, we're going to get into it. So I'm going to move you guys around here just so I can show you up close. So we have about, let's see, what is that? No, 6 plus 5 is 11. We have 11 cells filled with tomatoes, peppers, onions, and we'll go through them really quickly. So I have 4 different onions right here. One is a bunching type, so it doesn't really have a bulb on it. That is called Flavor King. Then on the next one to the right is Texas. I think it was Texas Super Sweet, something like that. It's another type of onion. We also have Walla Walla in the back and Red Burgundy. The next section we have are our different types of peppers. There's also a 4-quadrant as well. We have Cascabella in the back, Orange Sun, Goddess, and Pretty and Sweet. I think the Cascabella is a hot pepper, and then the other ones are more just your general snacking pepper or your like bells that you would normally get in a grocery store. And last but not least are our tomato plants. I am super excited. I'm not doing a whole lot. I only have about 2 per cell for the peppers and the tomatoes. These are getting grown much earlier than I would normally start them because I'm going to try and start them earlier so I can see if I can get fruiting peppers and tomato plants before they actually need to go out in the garden. I am hoping, amongst hoping, that I am able to get them fruiting, get them really mature, maybe no more than 1 foot or 2 tall, which I know I can do that with tomatoes, and then actually have them start to flower and possibly get fruiting earlier into the season because tomatoes and peppers do take a while to get to maturity before they start to fruit. I typically don't see my first tomatoes until like July, like end of June, July is when I really started to get pumping tomatoes out of the garden, and I want to get more sooner. So we have our Mountain Magic, San Marzano, which is like a Roma type, so a lot of paste tomatoes, but I actually like using the San Marzanos for just like a beefsteak because they are really good with slicing up. They're not super juicy, so they make your sandwich soggy. And you can also use them as sauce as well. But for me, I like using them like you would normally do your beefsteak, your big, juicy tomatoes that you would get in the grocery store. Last, I have Brandywine. This is not the yellow one, I don't believe. I do have a yellow, but I don't know if I'm going to start that one yet. But this one's just your regular heirloom, which I know heirlooms can have a lot of issues with them, but they also can be pretty great. We'll see. I've heard things about Brandywine being pretty interesting and being pretty good, but we'll see if this one works in my climate. Everything is always hit or miss. You have to try a few things to see what works best in your own climate. And then we are also subjected to our own microclimates within our area. For instance, my backyard is pretty shady on majority of my yard, and then I get blasting heat on one side of my yard. It's like 25% of my yard is like blasting sun, blasting heat, and then towards the end of the season it switches. Throughout fall, winter, and early spring, it's mostly shade, mostly cold. It's not the same, and it's also like you have trees, you have structures. all these things, the house, where everything's positioned, where the wind normally comes in, where the wind blows out, can all impact your microclimate. So my backyard may not be the same as the neighbor to my right or the neighbor to my left. For instance, my mom's backyard, full sun, like all day, and practically her entire backyard. And that could generate different types of pests, different types of issues and complications to work around, which may not be suitable for all types of growing. So to get started, these were just done a few days ago. I'm hoping to keep them pretty warm, pretty moist. I did take the humidity dome off just for a little bit so I can get the rest of these filled in with some snapdragons. So I'm going to set you back up and we're going to get started. All right, so I have my basket here, which has some of the stuff that I am planning on doing for Seed A Palooza. This basket. All right, so let me rummage through, pardon me, so I can get all the things I want to get out of here in order to start them. We have a lot of things on our list of stuff that we want to get done. I don't have all of my snapdragons, but I'm going to go through and see what I can put and start in here. Now, if you don't already know, you can go to your library and you can sometimes have a seed library where they're typically free, and you go in, they'll have a little area that says seed library, and they have different types of seeds that are filled up periodically throughout the season, throughout the week, and usually they'll have what's coming up next as the seeds that you might want to start. Like for instance, I was able to get a hold of brassica type of plants and plants that are early spring plants for us in our area. So even though impatiens are typically more warm plants, I think I did see some violas in there as well, or pansies, but you need to get them started now so that they'll be ready for planting later on in the season. So I did get some impatiens. It says bush mixed. I'm not sure. It says pink, purple, red blooms. Now remember, I'm trying to stick with my lavender colors this year as much as possible. So lavender and creams, purples and whites. And I'm hoping that I can stick with that. But I did see that there is some red and pink in here, so I might give those to neighbors, moms, friends, whoever might want them, and those extras won't go to waste. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Most of these, it looks like, are pretty, let's see. So the snapdragons need light to germinate, so I'll read it real quick. It says it's an annual type of plant, cut flower, edible flower, garden beds, so that's where you can use them at. Transplant, surface sow into open or 20-row flat or preferred seedling container 8 to 10 weeks before last frost. We have plenty of time for that. Light is required for germination, but a fine layer of vermiculite covering the seed will help maintain moisture levels and prevent algae growth. Bottom watering or mist lightly to avoid displacing the seeds are probably really small because not only are they in this package, but they happen to also be in a vial in here as well. And I think it says we have about 50 seeds. So I'm going to probably sprinkle maybe 4 in each cell, starting from the left to the right, and then label them because I'm definitely going to have to label. And then it also says transplant into a 72-cell plug flats when true leaves appear, approximately 3 to 4 weeks after sowing. Harden off and transplant out after danger of frost is passed. For a bushier plant with more flowering side branches, pinch plants back by half their height when they are approximately 3 to 4 inches tall. Now it does say danger of frost has passed, but you want to get them started now because even though they're not traditionally summer plants, you do want to get them out earlier because I've had an issue in my 8B garden zone that these do not do well in the heat for us. So I'm going to get them out as soon as I possibly can to get them started and get a head start on their growth so that I can get the most impact and the most blooms for a longer period of time. I'm going to do an experiment where I'll pinch some of them and then others I won't pinch. A lot of people say that pinching is really good for snapdragons especially, but we'll see. We'll do our own test and find out. Then it says, oh, just like right here, for bushier with more flowering side branches, pinch plants back by half their height when they're approximately 3 to 4 inches tall, which I think I just said. Pinching delays blooms by a few weeks. So if I do grow them in these seed cells 8 to 10 weeks prior, and then I pinch them, that's going to extend how long it's going to take before I get bloom. So I definitely want to get started on them now because I think we're literally at 14 weeks for my last frost date the from New Year's. All right, germination, it says 7 to 14 days. You want to keep them at about 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And then it says growing on, after seedlings have 3 to 5 true leaves, grow at 50 degrees, so a little bit cooler at nighttime, and 60 degrees as well for daytime. Pinch back 1.5 to 2 inches when seedlings are 3 to 4 inches tall. Sun to part shade and rich, well-drained soil. Most soil pH neutral is preferred. And then it talks about different types of spacing. I have this little section that I want to place them, and I don't think I'm going to cram them too much, but I do want to get as many as I can to fit in a space comfortably. But because we have such high humidity and a lot of rain, we'll get days of rain. And I'm not talking like a little misting or a little light rain. No, they're downpour. We can have that for days on end. So I want to make sure that my plants have enough space, that they grow bushy, but they also grow tall and still have enough space around their leaves to dry out in between when we do have rain. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up both of these packets. I want to see how many seeds do I have in this. Sometimes they tell you on the package how many seeds, but they do lack a little bit of information. For instance, this says plant in the spring, full of soil, 11 to 12 inches is how tall they are, about 1/16, so surface sowing for this, and it takes about 70 days to bloom. So these also just need surface sowing, so light to germinate most likely, but it doesn't tell me how long it typically takes for them to germinate. Oh wait, nope, it says germination in about a week, but it doesn't tell me how many seeds I might have in here. So I don't think I have that many in here. So we're gonna do these first because I need more space for these, and then I'll start on my impatiens. I do have other snapdragons coming, and let me see if I can bring that information up. All right, so on here for my seed starting, I have the Panamac lavender, which I have right there. I also have Avignon, apologize for the description of the name, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, lavender 2, and then I also have Avignon silver 2. I have Beninese giant for zinnias, which I am not growing. Right now, I don't have the seed packets, and like I said, when I get the other two. So I have 3 packets of the snapdragons. I only have 1 currently right now. The other ones are on their way, and I'll finish the cells for those and then do the labeling so that we'll have it all together when it comes in. So again, I have that Avignon lavender 2 and then the Avignon silver 2, which they kind of are like a pale, peachy, creamy color as well. And then I have, again, my impatiens bush mixed, but we're going to start with the lavender first. There's 50 seeds in here, and then they're only surface sowed, so I will use vermiculite just to help with moisture control and to make sure that they do not get a lot of any algae buildup on the back, on the seeds or on the surface of the soil. But first, I'm thinking I'm needing to write down these on some cards real quick. I don't have the best handwriting, but I'm going to put the day's date. All right. Today is 01, 01, which I have to say, that's fine. Anyway, and then it is Panamac lavender. F1. You do also want to pay attention to when you're reading it. In Johnny's, they have a lot of information in there. You may or may not know what the meaning is. They usually explain it pretty well in there, but they'll have like F1, F2, or whatever number systems they have. And that can generally mean differences between maybe the variety or when they are expecting it to bloom. Because sometimes it's early blooming, late blooming, and that can help people who are cut flower growers who maybe want it for a specific occasion, for a specific event. Just pay attention to that because that can help guide you on when to actually start your seeds. Mine's F1. I really don't care which ones they are. I'm not growing it for any specific purpose except for just beauty and enjoyment. All right. And then go. One. Really struggling with this marker here. Impatience. Pushed. Next. All right. I definitely need to hurry up because I am hungry still and I just ate. I feel like my stomach. Has anyone ever heard your stomach is eating your back? Because that's what it feels like to me. All right. I'm gonna leave this cell open for like maybe another tomato or something, but it's bothering me that it's off centered. I'm gonna put the Potomac lavender here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start this. I have 50 seeds. I'm gonna do a couple of seeds in each one, probably like 3 or 4, maybe. Well, I guess 5 cells. That would be 10 each. I do not want to put 10 in there. So I have 50 of them. I don't know what I would do. You know what? I'm gonna do the impatience over here first. Actually, we're gonna rethink this. We're gonna do impatience here. I'm gonna take this one out. I'm gonna do the impatience first. Then whatever's left, I'm gonna do the rest of the cells for the snapdragons. I think that will be the better option rather than fighting with myself. There's quite a few seeds in here, but not a whole lot. This shouldn't take up too many cells. There's, ooh, come on. I see you in there. There we go. What's that? Maybe 10, 12 seeds in here. So I'll do probably, and like I said, these are also surface sown as well, but I'm going to try and not make a big mess of them and just put them right on top. Probably one in each corner. And then hopefully when they get to a certain height, I can, sometimes these types of plants don't like to be like moved when they're so young, but we're going to do it anyway because we can. 3, 4. Do it again. This is probably why it's good to have a like a 72 cell tray because you can do a lot of little types of flowers without having to worry about taking up a whole lot of space because these 24 cell trays, they do take up quite a bit of space. So if you want to do a lot of flowers, definitely invest in either soil blocking or a larger cell tray. I try and find trays that are really sturdy because I don't want to have to go in and having to do them over again. I think that was 4 in that one. I'm going to hold off on this one. I'm going to put it in here because there's only 1 in here. Well, actually, someone's going to get an extra one. All right, so that was from here to there. So I'm going to put my things here and whatever's left in these last few spots, I'm going to put all of my snapdragons in there, and they're pelleted as well. So a lot of times that helps with the coating of the seeds and preserve them a little longer. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what I'm told. Okay, these are so tiny. Maybe I should put them in here. I don't know. Oh my gosh, they're so tiny. I'm gonna have to put it in my hand because there's no way I'm gonna be able to see these. I'll work with a little bit at a time. I'll probably just do like 2 in each cell. Oh my gosh. One, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Ah, my stomach hurts all of a sudden. 2. Oh, nope, that was more than 2. No. Got it. And Just 2 more, all I need. This is where the toothpick method can definitely come in handy. Have a little jar of water, you have your toothpick, tapping the tip of the toothpick can help to pick up the seed and you can see it a little bit better and manage it. And they don't stick to your fingers or roll out of your hands. Okay, so that's all I have for this right here. I'm going to try and get these all back in here, not waste all of my seeds. All right, I'm going to put these back in the envelopes so I know which ones are which. And this is trash. And we still have more of these to go. So that was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that's a lot. And I'm actually starting to think if I should start them all now or if I should stagger them for staggered blooms. So thought. Okay, so now all I have to do is spritz them, cover them with a humidity dome, and then when I start seeing sprouts come up, I can take them out of the humidity dome and then I'll be able to take care of them individually because I did in a previous video, I mentioned that I have the 24 cell tray that I got from Gardener Supply. I split them up into 4 cell quadrants because I did want something that I can portably move stuff around. It works better for me to have a smaller thing. And when you're first getting into it, you don't really know what's going to work for you. But having like multiple different types of plants, not just varieties, but different types of plants in a 24 cell tray, everything has a different growing pattern or growing habit. So it's harder to maintain the humidity dome. For instance, my tomatoes are going to come up before any of the other stuff comes up. So then the dome has to come off in order to allow more airflow for the tomatoes. But then everything else might still need the tomato dome. I keep saying that. Everything else might still need the dome and the tomatoes do not. If that's the case, then I am risking my tomatoes perishing before I even get them out into the garden because the humidity is just too much. They start to rot out, they start to get too wet, they don't have airflow, and being able to have them cut into different sections makes it easier. So I definitely encourage that if you do get a 24 cell tray, also keep in mind to get something that you can separate. Like even if it's a tray and it has 24 cells, maybe find something that has 4 6-cell trays or not 4 6 cell, either way, like whatever makes 24, whatever fits into the big basin, that maybe they can separate out and that they have their own individual dome or just one single dome and individual domes for them, just so that you can have more versatility and mobility with removing whatever is growing first or last out of the humidity dome when they need to. So for this, I'm still able to remove all the other ones out of here. The only downside is I did kind of put myself in a bad pinch because I did put impatiens on these 2 and this one. So they, even though they're 4 cell trays, I have snapdragons here, but then I also have, snapdragons here, but impatiens in this one. According to the paperwork, they have very similar growth habits, and I'm hoping that they'll start to germinate at the same time. Otherwise, I'll have to figure out something else. I just kind of doomed myself at this point. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz them, trying not to blast them out of their cell. It already was pretty moistened before I put them in, so I just need to do the tops just a little bit. And I'm just going to wet them just a tad, and then I'm going to put a little bit of vermiculite on them as well and spritz them again. I just want to set everything into place a little bit, and then we'll do it again. All right, a little bit of vermiculite. Just a little bit. It still lets the light out, just a thin layer, and I think we'll be just fine. And we'll see how that works. Oh, now do it just one more time to really settle everything into place. my bottle sprayer. I feel like this is a part where it's like 2 hours later. I'm still spraying. All right. I think we're done. I think we get the point. Just lightly moisten the top. Hopefully they don't shoot out anywhere. Don't spray too hard. And I'm going to put this really bad tattered plastic dome over top. And you don't have to use a plastic dome. You could use a little something a little bit stronger, like a harder plastic. It doesn't have to be this flimsy one. I'm going to use it until it perishes. But it has lasted a little while, but I wish it was a little bit stronger. So hopefully someone comes out with a better system for the lid that lasts a lot longer than this one did. I think it's been about 3 years since I've had this now. I have them all tucked away. I am going to hurry up and tell it to grow faster so that we are going to be looking forward to all these beautiful blooms, hopefully coming up in the next couple months or so. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.